Now, I was eavesdropping on some people taking the math test last week, and they said, gosh, I didn't know how to do the triangles because my math 2 teacher let me use a toolkit all year, and I never learned what sine, cosine, and tangent were. And I got to let you know that the quiz for chapter 2 is no calculator, no notes, and it has sine, cosine, and tangent on it. So if you don't know those, I'm going to teach it to you right now. Okay.
Sine, cosine, and tangent without a calculator.
Hold that thought. Okay. The way that I remember it is called SOHCAHTOA. If you can remember SOHCAHTOA, then you'll know how to do all of these. And let's talk about what SOHCAHTOA means. This is sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so you write SOHCAHTOA down somewhere on your paper. And then, so I'm showing you how to do this with no calculator, except for we're going to use a calculator. But just hold on, hold on. Okay. I like to mark the angle for my visual because what I'm doing is I'm seeing if my labeled sides are opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse from that angle. And I always start with the hypotenuse. You guys tell what the label is on the hypotenuse. 8, beautiful. And so I'm going to put a little H there for hypotenuse. Okay. Then the X, you have to decide if the X is opposite 30 degrees or adjacent to 30 degrees. Is it across or next to? Across. So that means it's opposite. Okay, so you say to yourself, all right, this particular problem has opposite and hypotenuse, which is so. The so part of the SOHCAHTOA. This tells you how to set up your equation. Sine 30 degrees equals opposite over hypotenuse. So this is saying sine equals opposite over hypotenuse, SOH. Okay, and then you solve for x, but before you go to the calculator, I hear you. Multiply by 8 on both sides. This is how you will leave your answer on the quiz. This is called exact form. So at that moment is where you would walk away from that problem. You wouldn't have a calculator. You couldn't go any further, except for that I'm a weirdo. So I know that sine of 30 is 0.5. So 8 times 0.5 is 4. I know I'm a weirdo. Do you guys know why that makes sense though? Why this would be 4? Because if I reflect this across here, it makes a equilateral triangle. So it'd be 8, 8, and 8. So that part would be 4. But anyways, okay, let's go to the calculator now. Do the calculator part. Okay, so anybody have a brand new calculator from the manufacturer? You're going to want to check the mode. I want you guys to be in degrees because this problem has a degree symbol in it. You want to make sure that your calculator is not in radians. Hold on, hold 1 second. Wait for me. Okay, what you're going to do, so first of all, you can check up here. If you have an older calculator, it won't say it. That's okay, it doesn't matter. Hit the mode button, which is right next to the blue one. And then what you want to do is scroll to where it says degrees so that it's blinking over top of the word degree, and then hit enter. Okay, hit the mode button, scroll to where it says degrees, and then hit enter so it's flashing on degrees. The mode button's right next to the blue one. Okay, we're good? Okay, now how do I get out of this? I go second quit. Quit is right above the mode, so second quit gets you back out to the regular screen. That will get you back out to the regular screen from everything graphs and tables and whatnot. Okay, so now you're going to go 8 times sine 30 and parentheses and just confirming. You're like, 4 is not really approximate. I know, but usually it's a decimal. So in this case, it's not. Okay, now let's go to number 19. The first thing I need to teach you about number 19 is that this little guy right here, his name is theta. And theta is a Greek letter that we use for the variable for angles. It's like x, but you're saying you're asking for an angle. Okay, you guys know about theta, right? My first period did. Anyway, so I'm going to mark the angle visually because it's easier on my eyes. I noticed that there's no label on the hypotenuse, so I'm not going to put anything there. The 3 is opposite, and the 10 is adjacent. Yeah, okay. So then you say to yourself, all right, this one has the O and the A, so I look back up at SOHCAHTOA, so that's going to be the TOA part. T-O-A. Tan of theta, you don't know the angle this time, so you're putting the variable there, equals opposite over adjacent. Okay, now, how do I undo tangent? Somebody in the room remembers. Undoing tangent. No, but it looks like that. So it's called tan inverse right here. And it looks like a baby -1 power because that's how we write inverses, but it's actually not a baby -1 power. It's tan inverse. Okay, so you put tan inverse 3/10. You tan inverse both sides. And when you do the quiz, if I ask you for a problem like this would be the end. That would be exact form, and that's as far as you could go. But let's go on the calculator and practice tan inverse of 3/10. So for the inverses, you have to hit second first. Tan inverse 3 divided by 10, 16.7 degrees. Okay, and we're going to practice that again on Friday, Monday, one of those days. Okay. So now you see how to do it without a calculator. You're just gonna leave it. It's gonna feel weird. You'll feel like you didn't finish it all the way, but that's just good enough. Okay. If you finished your scavenger hunt, if you could just open your packet to those pages and just set it aside because I'm gonna stamp that in a little bit. So if you finished your scavenger hunt, then you're good. You don't need to show it to me again. But if you did finish your scavenger hunt, just leave it open, leave your packet open to that just to make it easier for me to stamp in a little bit. Okay. Today we're going to be doing statistics. I know it's a little weird, but today is a pre-AP Stats day. So it's giving you like a little taste of what they're doing in AP Stats right now. We're going to do histogram and a box plot, and we're going to calculate a bunch of statistics using the graphing calculator, which is why I had to get it out. We're going to actually use the data from your math test scores from this class. So if you guys could distribute the papers that have a list of numbers on it to each other, make sure everyone in the group has a paper with a list of numbers. Your class is group D. So group D is my 5th period. I'm not going to say anything about secret group B there, but you guys are group D. And we're going to do notes on how to do this first, briefly, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to do your class with you, which is going to be number 101, and then number 102 is going to be you guys doing group B in your groups. Okay, now I want to talk about the math test results that I handed out the other day. So you can get it out if you want, you don't have to, but I want to explain. Math growth uses a scale called RIT to measure student achievement and growth. RIT stands for Roche Unit and is a measurement scale developed to simplify the interpretation of test scores. It is an equal interval scale like feet and inches on a ruler, so scores can be added together to calculate accurate class or school averages. We'll find out our class average in just a few minutes. The RIT scale ranges from 100 to 350. So 100 would be like kindergarten, and 350 would be like calculus. RIT scores make it possible to follow a student's educational growth from year to year. As an example of how math RIT scores change as students move from grade to grade, a student may score in the 170s in 3rd grade and advance throughout high school. So Ms. Rice's son took the math test last year in 1st grade, and I want you to think about your graph on the back and think about what his graph is going to look like when he gets to your grade. His graph's going to be packed. Because you guys just started doing these, not just, it doesn't feel like just, but you guys started doing these in middle school, and he's starting it in 1st grade. He's going to have like the biggest, craziest growth graph ever. The next thing I want to show you is a grade comparison. So I want to look at this column right here, this first column, and if you scored at like the 8th grade level, that would be a 224-ish. 9th grade level is 226, so that's math 1. Math 2 would be like 229-ish, 231, and then 233, and most everybody scored above that, meaning that you're higher than 12th grade. Great. That's good. Remember, these are averages. So think about the whole population, you know, that takes this thing. So pretty good, right? Okay. Here is the homework. The homework tonight is 103, 104, 107, and 109. And here's my joke. There's a fraction, and it says, do not remove bar from repeating decimal, and then there's a hole in the wall. You see, you get it? Because what would happen if you took off the bar? The threes would shoot out forever. Apparently, it already happened. I love that one. Okay. You might be wondering, Mrs. Sabat, you never record our class. Why are you recording our class today? Well, that's because you guys are group D and I did group A with 1st period. So I need to make sure that all of my videos are for each period today. Okay. Now, if you guys could go to the notebook. And we're going to start with notes on describing a data distribution. It's not long. Most of it is arts and crafts. That's how long it is. The notes, not the problems. And we haven't even gotten to the problems yet. This is the note. Okay, so you guys have little baby ones of this picture. What I need you to do is cut that out and either tape or glue stick it into your notebook. There's way too many of them on your table. I know there's like 1,000 of them per group. Take a few minutes, write this down and do the arts and crafts business there. And then we will go over what the heck you just wrote down. Mhm. Sounds familiar? They did. Did you? We definitely teach it in Math 1 at the very end of the year. We did mean, median, and mode and all that stuff. Yep. I may have paid more attention to it because I'm the AP stats teacher, so your teacher might not have taken as much time with it as I did, but you'll have what you need for this. Even if you've never seen it before, it'll be fine. Not too much. Pre-calc doesn't have any effect on it. Mm-mm. As a matter of fact, hold on, I have to pause this recording if I'm going to say my next statement. Okay, now back to recording. I mean, knock on something. Yeah, it's my abbreviation for standard deviation because I'm too lazy to write the whole thing every time. Access, right? Did you call me first?
Yeah.
I was like, am I crazy? I thought I was crazy. I mean, I am crazy, but not for that. I love arts and crafts. So fun. Lovely way to lift up the relationship. Okay, so let me actually, does anybody need a few more minutes? Okay, totally fine. I want to actually zoom in on the tapes before I talk about them, so I'm gonna wait a second. I'll fill up my large obnoxious water bottle with this other large obnoxious water bottle. I can't. I have like Alhambra water service at home. It's one of my pet peeves. I have to have like my own water. I don't know. I'm a weirdo. Weirdo. It's okay. I've come to terms with that. Water snob. Don't measure its pH or anything that crazy. But like the only bottled water I like is smart water. I'm a weirdo. Weirdo. But the water at school, Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
I tried, but I didn't throw it
You guys got it? Okay, I'm gonna hold on, hold that thought. Okay, I'm gonna talk about all of these items real quick before we move on. Okay, these are not all of the possible histogram shapes. Sometimes they're also kind of together. So sometimes you have like a left skew bimodal graph. Just so you know, this is not, there's not only 6 possibilities. You can combine these for different possibilities. I'm not going to do that to you in math 3 though. I'm going to try to make it as obvious as possible. Now that being said, I did not graph our class's data before class because I thought that finding out the mystery of it would be fun. I didn't do my homework. I don't know what the actual shape is of our class's data. I do know the one for group B because first period also did group B. But we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. But anyways, okay. Let me talk about the word modal. What does modal mean? All 3 of these have the word modal in them. If you remember from middle school, mode is the most. Remember the number that occurs the most. So in this case, modal means peaked. So unimodal means 1 peak. Bimodal means 2 peaks. And multimodal means multiple peaks. Does that make sense? Okay, so there's that. Now I need to explain the skew left and skew right. Uniform is pretty easy. I like to think about that as like when you cut your grass in the yard, it's kind of levelish, but not perfect. These 2 feel backward to me. It feels like if I have data that's skewed left, most of it should be to the left, but that's the opposite of what it is. Okay, I want you to think of it this way. Pretend that you took a picture, it's like a rectangle, and then you took this corner and pulled it that way. You would pull it left, so it's skewed left. So that one's pulled left, and that one's pulled right. Okay, here's how my AP Stats students like to think of it, because they're adorable. They looked at this and they said, well, that's clearly a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And its tail is going to the left, so it's left tail left. You see its tail? You see the Tyrannosaurus Rex? So they take the word skew and replace it with tail, and they're like, that's left tail, the left skew. And this one is right tail, the right skew. That's how they remember. I think that's cute. It made me look for Tyrannosaurus Rex plushies, which I may already have a dinosaur plushie right there that actually kind of works. But anyway, distraction. Okay, moving on. Outliers. Outliers, it's easy. Anything that's kind of far from the data set, there's actually a real mathematical set of calculations we need to do to determine if something is an outlier or not. I'm not teaching that to you this year. So when we have an outlier, we think something's an outlier, we're going to say possible outlier because we don't really know because we're not going to do the math. There are 2 measures of center that we use in this class. One is mean and one is median. These 2 little guys are the symbols for mean and median. That one right there is called X bar. X with a bar over it. And did you guys notice my poster by the door over there? It said, and here she is really mean. And then the teacher is an X bar. Get it now? Yeah. Okay. If you're the SAS teacher, it's fun, I swear. Okay, and the median, its symbol is just a capital M, nothing fancy. We use 3 measures of spread in math 3, the range, which is not very helpful at all, but it's fine. It's maximum number minus the minimum number. We do interquartile range, which you guys seem to know already when we were talking about this earlier, which is quartile 3 minus quartile 1. And then we use standard deviation, which I abbreviate to this because I'm lazy, and this is the symbol for it in the calculator. When it gives us the statistics, we're going to look for SX. Okay. Any questions about that? All right. Now find a different spot in your notebook. You can do it on the same page if you want to. I just started a new page because I'm gonna put a lot of things. As I said, I'm gonna do number 101 with you, which is going to be our class's data, group D, and then you guys are gonna do group B after that. Make this graph big. I think this is like 15 tall, if you're wondering. You can see first period's data distribution kind of on the other side of the paper there. Okay, so the directions are here on this paper. It says create 2 combination histogram box plots, 1 for each group. We're gonna do number 101 is going to be group D, and then you're gonna do number 102, which is gonna be group B. Start at 200 and use a bin width of 10. Okay, so let me explain what that means. It says start at 200. So you're gonna put 200 here. And then a bin width of 10 means that the marks on the x-axis should be 10 apart. It doesn't have to be 2 graph paper boxes, but I just think it looks nice. 210, 20. Believe it or not, some kids in my first period scored in the 270s and 280s. I'm not even kidding. Mhm. Group D is your class. Group B is another one of my classes that I will not divulge. Okay, so I labeled the bottom of my histogram and I labeled the what it's doing. The y-axis of a histogram is always the same thing. And I'm just taking a stab in the dark here, going up to 10. And the label for the y-axis of a histogram is always frequency. So this side is always exactly the same for all histograms. This just depends on your data. Okay. Now, the next sentence that I say is the most important one about histograms. This is boiling it down to the thing you need to know. If one of the numbers falls on one of the bins, it goes in a higher bin. So what I mean by that is this first bin right here is 200 to 209.9 repeating, which is why I picked that joke for today. So if one of my numbers in my list was 210, it wouldn't go here, it would go here. If one of my numbers was exactly 240, it would go in this one, not this one. That's what I'm saying. Okay, now we need to count numbers. This is the worst part of the whole period right here. Do we have anything between 200 and 210 in our class? No. Do we have anything between 210 and 220? Do we have anything between 220 and 230? No. 230 to 239.9 repeating, yes. So 230s are 233, 236. Two of them? Okay, so we make our box too tall because there's two numbers between 230 and 239.9 repeating. Okay, now I'm going to start saying it in an easier way. How many are in the 240s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Two 50s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What is happening outside? Did you guys get 9? Okay. Okay. 260s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then what? Okay. Now, over here, we're going to start to organize our SOX data. Some of it we can't do yet. I would call this shape roughly symmetric. It's not perfectly symmetric, but if I folded it right about here, the sides would match up. Most test data, honestly, is roughly symmetric. It makes sense if you think about what you're actually graphing. And then outliers, I don't see any. That's a good thing. When you're working with a data set, having an outlier is a bad piece of data, usually not necessarily with test scores, but most of the time you want your data to be close together. It shows like a correlation with something you're studying. But anyway, none is a perfectly fine answer for outliers. Do you have any questions so far? You good? Okay. All right, now I'm going to teach you how to find everything else from the graphing calculator. So we're going to write down some very boring graphing calculator instructions. Don't worry, I will do this with you, I promise. Don't be intimidated, it's gonna be fine. Totally fine. What? They did this for chapter 1. They're in chapter 2 now, but this is what they did for chapter 1. Yeah, I mean, if you know how to do this, you're already like ready to go for chapter 1. But the calculator part, I would not expect you to like remember that. I teach it again like from scratch. Okay. This part right here, by the way, these are all instructions. You won't have to write this again for the next problem you do. You're only just gonna have to fill out this part and the histogram and the box plot. We're just gonna do this stuff one time so that you know what you're looking at. Okay, grab your calculator. And the first thing you need to do, we're gonna follow the instructions right here. It says start with the stat button. The stat button is 2 over from the green one. So find the green button. 2 over from that is the stat button. Enter. And then it says type the values into L1. Okay, does anybody have stuff in their L1? Okay, if you do, what I want you to do is scroll up with the up arrow so that the header for L1 is highlighted, and then hit clear, which is over here, clear, enter, and it will clear out the list for you. Okay, now what you're gonna do is you're gonna get that list from group D, and we're gonna type these in. You can complain all you want, but I could ask you to do all this by hand, in which you would have to find, I don't know if any of you have found the standard deviation of 25 numbers by hand, but
I couldn't hear what you said how to clear out L.
oh, scroll to the top with the arrow key, clear, enter. Okay, 245. You should really be a little bit happier about the speed of this technology, but maybe you won't until you actually see how fast it calculates. Someday they'll make it so you can like take a picture and then it'll just take the data for you, but not yet. Okay, once you get your numbers in,
How many are we supposed to have?
25, I have 25. It says I'm on the 26th line, but I have 25 numbers. But we'll see, it'll tell us. Okay,
Mine says that I have 22.
does anyone else have 25? Okay, just checking. Okay, all right, now we're gonna follow these instructions. So hit the stat button. Then calc is not a button, it's a menu. So you have to hit the arrow to the right to go to calc. And then one variable stats, that's the one right here at the top. So hit enter. And you want to make sure that your list says L1. If your list doesn't say L1, it's not going to do it right. Does anyone's list not say L1? Okay, then hit enter. Oh no, I deleted my L1. There you go. Enter, enter. It's okay, just go off of mine. I'm going to give you another chance to practice this. Okay, so it's totally okay. All right, did anybody else get the same data as me exactly? Okay, good. I just want to make sure I typed it right. If you guys did not get a checksum of 6357, then you typed a number in there wrong somewhere. So if you type something in there wrong somewhere, don't write the wrong stuff down. Just write off of mine. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the data from the calculator here, and you're going to fill in the items that I wrote here. These are the ones that we'll use in our class. So 254.28. So that's your class average is 254.28. It's pretty good. This is the mean. The next number is all of the numbers added together. And we don't really use this except to check to make sure that we entered the numbers improperly. So I'll say, does everyone get a checksum of 6357? And that's an easy way for us to look and just be like, oh yes, we typed it in the same. Okay, the next one I need is that standard deviation, SX. So 10 point, and I go out 4 decimals, but this one would round to 245. N is how many numbers we typed into the list. Okay, and then these 5 on the bottom are called the 5 number summary. These 5 down here at the bottom are called the 5 number summary. And those are the ones we use to make our box plot. Notice that there's a little down arrow right here on the calculator, so you can scroll down to see the rest of them. What? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so measures of center, there's 2 of them. There's the mean and the median. So you come over here to get the mean and the median. Okay, now anyone that is interested in AP stats, just so you know, if the mean and median are very close together, that means that my data is pretty symmetric. So I did a good job of choosing the shape. You do not need that for math 3. Just throwing that out there, a little extra tidbit. Okay, spread. we have three different spreads. The first is the range. The range is the max minus the min. So 278 minus 233, which is 45. IQR, which is quartile 3 minus quartile 1. 261 minus 247.5. Break out my calculator for that. 13.5. And then the last one is standard deviation, which is 10.245. Okay, now let me be very clear about what I want you guys to show and what I don't want you to show. Okay, you're going to do number 102, which is going to be the same as this, but group B. I have to warn you, first period did group B, and there's one of the bars is 15 tall. So you have to make your graph big. Unfortunately, we didn't know that before first period, and they had to cram their box plots like on top of their histogram, and it looked really sad. Oh gosh, we didn't make our box plot. Hold on. Okay. So I don't need you to write this down when you do yours. This is just instructions. I just need you to do this part up here and this part over here, but we need to do the box plot real quick. Okay, so do you see the 5-number summary at the bottom? You come up here above your histogram and we draw vertical lines at all 5 of these spots. So we start with 233. So 233 would be right here-ish. I don't know. I think it should actually be more. Oh, it's fine. 247.5. 254. 261. And 278. Okay, so you start by drawing vertical lines at your 5-number summary, and then you connect the middle 3 to make the box, and then extend out to the whiskers, and your box plot is done. And now you can really see how symmetric it is. It's actually really symmetric if you look at the box plot. Does that make sense, what I said about it being symmetric? Because if you fold it in the middle. Okay, so this is what I need. I need you guys to do this and this, but not writing down all of this again. You don't need to write this again, ever. You just use those things to make this and write this.